poppin', que la que hay, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I decided to go ahead and share something personal with you guys. Obviously, one of the things that I definitely enjoy and that anybody who knows me knows this, is I love reading. And I know there's a bunch of you out there who definitely have that same love. So I wanted to go ahead and just share with you guys some of the fiction books that I've read that I adore and I would definitely recommend to everybody to read. So if this is something that you would like to see, go ahead and keep watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you liked this video, and also comment down below some of the books that maybe you've read, whether fiction, non-fiction, whatever it is, and let me know, what the books are. That way I can check them out as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the first books that I'm going to be talking about is called the Luck series. I'm going to drop a picture of it right here. It's from Antoinette, and she's actually one of my favorite authors. Basically, the book has a bunch of twists, turns. It just goes very much into detail about this girl who grows up in Flint, Michigan. Her mother is a crackhead, basically. Her dad ends up getting gunned down right in front of her, and she just dreams of leaving her hometown and just getting away. And the day before she is able to do that, she ends up getting a scholarship to UCLA. The day before she is actually able to do that, ends up getting shot. So with that happening, it makes her stay a little bit longer, but of course she ends up going to Los Angeles and just living her best life until the Los Angeles life kind of takes over her, and just peer pressure and having to deal with things around her and being away from home, and just everything takes a turn for the worse, and she goes through so much during the whole story and book series in general. I love the way that the author was able to bring the characters to life like if you were watching a movie. I love how as soon as you thought something was going to happen, plot twist, something happens. And I love how it all came full circle. You learned something from this book. Even though it was a fiction book, obviously it taught you something. And I love the fact that the book was just it made me personally fall in love with English and literature like never before. Sometimes you lose love with anything, and that book opened up my eyes and just refreshed everything for me and reminded me why I love reading in the first place. Like, that book series in itself, I would definitely recommend it. So the second book is River's End, and this is River's End by Nora Roberts. And basically the book takes place in Hollywood. Basically it's a Hollywood couple. The husband ends up murdering the wife, and the young daughter ends up seeing, the scene of the crime. She ends up hiding, and eventually she grows up with her grandparents away from the chaos. And the one who ends up finding her that night is a police officer. And when she gets older, his son ends up writing a story about what happened that night, and he wants to include her in it. And it just is the most beautiful romantic love story you can ever think of. This is one of those books that you're just gonna be like so I definitely recommend that book. It's such a beautiful way that she writes the characters, and just how everything is, I don't know, everything's not always black and white, and I guess she is able to show that things are not as simple as they seem to be. And with that alone, you definitely learn something from the book series. So yeah, River's End is the second one. The third one is The Carter Boys, and I actually have one of the books from the series. And The Carter Boys is just a family from Atlanta, Georgia. The Carter Boys are some brothers and one sister, and basically they're infamous in this, the city of Atlanta. Their name is just permanent. Like, the Carter boys, you don't fuck with them, that's it. And basically one of them is in college, the others are in an R&B group. There's one who's like super like, you don't want to piss his ass off, or if you look at him the wrong way, or if he looks your way, you're just like, ugh, you're kind of scared, but it's kind of that like intimidating kind of cute way. So the book series in itself, it is amazing. So the author is actually Desiree, and she ends up kind of making you want to live in Atlanta. Like, she makes you kind of see things in a different lens. She kind of gives you a little bit of the culture there. She kind of gives you the culture of like just regular kind of like frat life, and also just like college life in general. Like, if you have never been to college and you want to read something like this is definitely like the coolest thing ever. And I personally love the Carter boys. I would love for them to have another book in the series, but I'm pretty sure it is all over unless she comes out with more. You know, your girl will be up for that. Anyways, the next one is To All the Boys I've Ever Loved, and I have one of the books from the series as well. To All the Boys I've Ever Loved is actually a movie that's on Netflix as well. The book came out first, and basically the book is about an Asian girl who ends up growing up, and basically she's always been kind of like in the shadows. She doesn't want to be out there. She just wants to live in her sister's shadows in a way. And what ends up happening is anytime she has feelings for somebody, or anytime something has happened, what she does is she writes about it in a note, and she puts it in a box, and then one day the box kind of just like disappears and the letters get sent out, and all the people she doesn't obviously have feelings for anymore ends up getting this letter. And one of those people ends up being her sister's boyfriend. And even though she doesn't have feelings for him anymore, and it was before their relationship, she has to go through some pretty deep shit to kind of get herself out of that and out of speaking with him. So what ends up happening is she ends up getting into a fake relationship with somebody else, just to get them kind of just to kind of make it believe that, you know, she really does have feelings for him, and just to make him jealous. And then eventually what ends up happening is she ends up falling in love with him. So it's a pretty dope story. If you don't want to read the book, just go ahead and watch the movie on Netflix. It's just as good. And honestly, I loved that, you know, sometimes people make movies about books that have already been out, and it has nothing to do with the actual book, and I hate that with a passion. The next book is actually Something Borrowed by Emily Griffin, and apparently there is a movie about it as well. I've seen it as well, and that one is just about this girl who's, you know, a lawyer, and she kind of is that girl who doesn't really go for it. She ends up just sticking in the sidelines and having her best friend kind of shoot for whatever shots she wanted to come out with. And she ends up falling in love with this guy, but she never ends up telling him. So her best friend ends up getting at him, and she ends up getting ready to get married with him. And eventually things happen where feelings surface and the truth comes out, and it's a beautiful story for a love story. And I don't know, I really loved it. So you guys definitely should check that one out as well. The next one is Hoodlum. So Hoodlum is from one of my other favorite authors. His name is Quan, and basically Hoodlum is about a boy who's, you know, away from college. He's playing basketball, ends up getting, you know, kicked out of the school, to be quite honest, sent home. His dad is the drug lord, like not a drug, the drug lord, and his older brother is the next one to take the throne. Well, things end up taking a twisting turn, and he ends up having to take his place on the throne that was never intended for him to take place on. And that one is definitely one of those stories that you're just like, literally just like that, just like that. Lastly, the last one is The Fix. So The Fix is actually by Quan as well, and that book is actually one of those stories that you read and you're like, get the out of here, and you don't want to put it down. You don't want to like Like, you get mad, you get angry, you cry, you want to throw a book against the wall. This book is basically about a girl's dad who ends up killing somebody. Basically, her dad ends up going to jail, and she ends up growing up, and now she's like under suburban life. She's not in the projects anymore. And then eventually what ends up happening is she ends up falling in love with this guy who's way too bad for her to be with in the first place. But you know, nobody listens to anybody nowadays. So she ends up falling in love with him, and he ends up being the brother of the person that her dad actually ended up killing. So he ends up taking it as kind of like a token of revenge. So he's about to get his revenge on, you know, so-and-so's daughter because of what he did to his life and his family. And it is hurtful. It will make you cry, it will make you happy, it will make you sad, it'll give you all these different emotions. But that one, I couldn't put it down. No matter how mad I got at it, I could still not put it down. I kid you not. It was the most annoying thing ever. So yeah, that actually concludes all the books that I have written down. If you guys definitely read them, let me know. Hit me up on all my social media accounts. You guys can DM me. Let me know, hey girl, I checked this book out. It was really good. If you didn't like them, let me know too. And like I said, if you guys have any suggestions, you want to hit me up on my DMs, you want to go ahead and comment down below, either or, whatever fits your needs. You can go ahead and let me know any books that you want me to go ahead and read, and I'll definitely check them out. So that actually concludes this video. I hope you guys definitely enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.